Hey guys, welcome. Yes, you read the title correctly. Welcome to the 149th edition of the Animated Girls Profile Confidential. And we are going to go back to a show. I've been talking about it recently. There are various reviews here on YouTube on it, from Rob the Wonderful to TV Trash with Rowdy C to Secret Galaxy, you name it. There's also a lot of information out there talking about its history. But yes, we are going to go back to the 84 to 85, if not collectively 84 to 87, maybe 88. Or if you really want to look at it from a long perspective, 84 to 92. Run, if you will, mostly through reruns after the 85 season. We are going to go back to Kid Video, and we're going to talk about the primary, outside of Glitter, who we did talk about on the series, but the other primary protagonist female in the show, Carla. And Carla basically was, as I think Rob the Wonderful put it in his review, the token girl of the group, but she was also the drummer. She was also the drummer and she was a singer. But sometimes she would be the lead singer on several songs. Now, she was portrayed by real-life actress and singer Gabriella Burnett, I think. Hold on, let me check. Like I said, just double-checking. But she is portrayed, voice-wise and on camera and singing-wise by Gabriella Rossi, or as she was once known, Gabriella Bennett, or Gabriella Bennett-Rossi, or some people might mistake her as Gabriella Bennett Nelson, but I think that's a miscredit, or somebody got a misinformation there. But basically, Gabriella Rossi, or Rosé, Gabriella Rosé, as she's now known. She currently, as we speak, is and this is the last information they put out about her. She's currently, as of this recording, this is the last information they put out about her. She's currently living, I should say, in Germany. She's currently living in Germany with her family, obviously. She has 2 sons, and basically she's a teacher and a dance instructor. Now, on the side, she still does sing. She still does sing and everything. As a matter of fact, there's a YouTube video up showcasing her reuniting briefly with Robbie Reist, who did the voice of Wiz, as well as portrayed Wiz, on camera as well. And most importantly, Robbie is known for doing the voice of Michelangelo in the live-action TMNT 90s movies. But with that said, let's get back to Carla here, or Carly here, or Carla. But yeah, Gabriella portrayed her, like I said, vocally and on screen. And some would look at her as the potential, even not so subtle, but potential love interest of the lead character, Kid Video. And you might say, well, how is that proven? Like I said, it's not showcased or even subtly showcased, but pretty much, the way it's looked at by a lot of fans is looked at in the same way a lot of fans over the past decade or a couple of decades, years, whatever, have looked at Nami and Luffy, from One Piece. It's basically looked at in that manner. And right now there seems to be some progress in that department, but I'll get into that later on. Point is, though, with Carla, like I said, to quote Rob the Wonderful, she was looked at as the token girl of the series. Now, what's interesting, though, about Carla's design, and the same goes with all the other characters' designs from the first season to the second season, is Hayam Saban, easy for me to say, Hayam Saban, who's basically known for, along with Shuki Levy, for basically bringing Power Rangers to the forefront. This series was one of the first series that they started out with, and Saban had a lot of respect for the people involved, for the band itself, because Kid Video wasn't just a band seen in the animated series, they were an actual band put together for the series to help promote it. I mean, basically, in other words, Gabriella, Robbie, and the other two, what was his name, Brian Scott and Sean Altman, they were all put together because of the fact that they not only could act, but they could sing and they can learn very quickly, if not, come accustomed to, if you will, to playing certain instruments, and thus the kid video band was born. And again, it wasn't just, for them to be an animated band that would be in animation only. It was a legit band that went on tours. And probably one of the more popular areas they were beloved in was Israel, where Saban is from. Here, Haim Saban is from. But anyway, to get back on point. The difference with Carla's design and, like I said, the rest of the cast designs from season 1 to season 2 was, like I said, Saban had respect for them. And he saw that they were going through some changes. They were growing up. I mean, when they first started, yeah, they were young and everything, and some of them basically were out of college. I think were just out of high school, entering college at that time. That's what I'm assuming. When you look at them, you say to yourself, there's no way some of these people could be teenagers, and you'd probably be right. It's more than likely they ended up basically being right out of high school and going right into college. That's my assumption. But noticing this change, the introductory season, which some people would look at as being nothing more than like Scooby-Doo characteristics utilized for the band, that design changed rapidly going into the second season. Some say in the second season it took on a more of an anime feel. And you could kind of see that. But the other reason the designs changed was to represent what the actual people, the band itself, the real life band, physically was going through, growth-wise and weight loss-wise and all that. And basically, Haim Saban said that even though it was going to be expensive, they wanted to make sure, and he said this in archival footage. You go to Kid Video Flipside YouTube channel, you go to that YouTube channel, and there's archival footage of, all the cast and crew being interviewed in various videos, including talking about the significant changes design-wise in the second season for the show. And basically, Haim Saban said essentially that, even though it's going to be expensive, he wanted to go frame by frame to basically reflect what the characters look like, in real life, kind of have that represented in the show, for the second season, and that's what he did. That's why when you would look at Carla, and as you're watching this audio, as you're watching or listening to this audio video, you see the images of her first season version and her second season version, you will understand why that happened, or at least now you will understand why that happened. But Carla was an interesting character. Again, she was the drummer of the group and sometimes would sing, and some would view her as a potential love interest, to the lead singer himself, the lead member of the band, Kid Video. But again, nothing was really subtly, showcased that could be. But again, same thing with what's going on in One Piece with Luffy and Nami. But to get back on point, she essentially has a good heart. She has a kind, nurturing heart, but can, be pushed. You can, get on her nerves and she'll get back at you. We'll put it that way. But she is a kind, loving person. She really is. Even if at times in some episodes it's much to her detriment. It's much to her detriment and everything. And as a matter of fact, I don't know if I'll be able to show this here, but I should. YouTube's allowing it on there anyway. It's part of the episode. But in the second to last episode of the series, in season 2, in the episode Pirates and Puzzles, as I said, Carla is portrayed as being very kind, sweethearted, and all that. Well, because of this, like I said, sometimes it comes back, to bite her. Sometimes, her kindness will get the best of her. Well, in this case, in Pirates and Puzzles, she ends up bringing back to the Kidmobile, she ends up bringing back a flower that she wants to nurture back to life, or nurture to health. What she doesn't know is that this flower is very nefarious. It's very nefarious. It has plans of its own. So when the opportunity arises, and she's the only one left on the Kidmobile while the others are out and about, this flower strikes, and it entangles her. It basically captures her, and then hits her full on, and I mean full on, right, from head to toe, full on, with some kind of pollen that basically, as she's being hit, the scene where she's being hit by this pollen, it transitions into a silhouette version of her, because I guess they're saying she's being covered up completely by this pollen-like cloud that the flower is blasting at her. Well, basically, we end up seeing a silhouette of her, but the silhouette basically is of her changing into a plant. That's right. This flower that she wants to take, this plant she wanted to take care of, turns its back on her and basically is turning her into a plant. And it's hit her full on, full blast with the pollen, to the point that when the others return and see what happens, she's not responsive, because now she's just a flower with a face on the front of the flower. And again, she's not responding. She's like in a deep sleep. She's like in a coma. But a lot would probably say that the reason for that is because, her getting hit full blast with that pollen-like stuff basically caused her to 100%, become a flower. And basically that's where her mindset is, in this state, that she's just a flower that's not meant to talk in anything, but just meant to bloom, or whatever the case might be. Even though some of the animation, errors would show her kind of moving a little bit, the point is, you would go back to her in that form before the episode ends, and she's just silent. It's like eyes are closed and all that. She's in a deep coma or deep sleep. That is until Kid, Video, and Wiz are able to, along with Glitter, are able to get a cure and bring it back. And basically the cure is like this little flower that not flower, but this little bird that sings very badly. It can reverse the effects of things like what the plant did, and it's able to help not only cure Carla and Ash, because Ash, was the other one that got affected when they saw what happened to Carla. Not only cure them, but it's able to basically defeat the plant itself. So overall, again, like I said, she's portrayed as a kind-hearted, nurturing person that can get, can get annoyed at times. I mean, in the first season, she kind of gets annoyed at the fact that Wiz is getting hit on by some of these other female characters they encounter, from like an Egyptian girl and all that Wiz ends up saving, to these to this one girl that's like it has a ball like for a body or something like that. So she does kind of get a little annoyed by that. You can probably say a little jealous, like, okay, why is Wiz getting these girls, and hey, I'm here. Why not take a chance with me? Even though, like I said, she's looked at as the potential love interest for Kid Video. You basically can kind of see that. She kind of has, that kind of stuff does get on her nerves. It does kind of get to her at times. So, yeah, it is natural and believable, for her to feel that way. There's no doubt, in my opinion, whatsoever. Now, with that said, I can't really say any more than what I have about her character, but I will say this, that, going back to what I mentioned about the second to last episode in the series, a lot of people that review the series always say a lot of strange stuff happens, and it does. But we've never really seen, I think maybe the first season had it, but mostly, I'm trying to think, guys, but mostly I think it was the second season most of all. Like I said, the first season had something, I think, but the second season most of all had, transformations out the wazoo, literally. I mean, Basically, you have one episode to where Carla and Wiz are basically transformed back into, toddlers, and Glitter's got to watch them while Kid and Ash got to find a cure. And then you kind of repeat that process with, pirates and puzzles and the whole plant transformation. It's like they just wait until they just waited until the second season and allow that to happen. And out of the characters that it happens to multiple times, it's Carla. It's Carla that it happens to, And again, I think it's all based on the fact that she's a very kind-hearted, very well-meaning, character. She's very loving. But like I said, she can get annoyed. There's no doubt. You get on her nerves, if she gets annoyed, you can see it. And you can definitely see that if you get on her nerves to the point that she's going to want to get even with you, maybe in a very friendly way, she's going to do it. She's going to do that. And, she does. She does do that. So, so overall, I think that's really all I could say on the character. That's all I can really say on the character. But, let me know what your thoughts are, guys. How do you feel about Carla as a character overall, from Kid Video, from a live action and animated perspective? How did you feel about her overall? What did you think about the idea that, it basically in the second to last episode of the series, she ends up being turned into a plant, where basically Gabriella, who portrays her on screen and voices her, didn't have to do that much voicing or talking except for like the beginning and the end. What were your thoughts on that? And if you're wondering, well, why did they do that? Why did they put her in that position? You have to understand that sometimes people have other jobs or they have personal lives. My assumption is Gabriella probably had some time off, to spend with her family and all that, maybe her husband, boyfriend, and they gave it to her. Or at least she let them know in advance that, she had plans. And they're like, okay, no problem. We have an idea for a story that's going to work in your favor. And, well, there you go. But again, overall, guys, let me know what your thoughts are on the character herself, as well as her whole plant transformation. What did you think about that sequence, even for like 85, where even in silhouette we see the plant transformation happen to her? Let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know what your thoughts are overall on that and everything. And who do you think could portray her? If they wanted to, like I said, revive the series for this, for a new generation, who do you think could portray her, now from a, let's say, singer, actor perspective, up and coming, you name it? Let me know. I'd love to hear your thoughts and all that as well. But guys, that's about it for this edition, the 149th edition of the Animated Girls Profile Confidential. Let me know what your thoughts are. Comment down below, like the video, ring the bell for notifications, subscribe to the channel, also share the video, and guys, click on the link in the description, click on the links, I should say, in the description to find my content elsewhere outside of YouTube, as well as click on the last link to go to the Teespring store for merchandise you can't get anywhere else. But guys, let me know what your thoughts are. I'd love to hear from each and every one of you on this, and until next time, I am out, but that's going to do it for the 149th edition of the Animated Girls Profile Confidential, where we're talking and focusing on Carla from Kid Video.